Happy Boundless Day, guys. Hello, Duelist. Tombox here from MST.TV. Just got off work. Really want to make a video? Well, I couldn't, so I'd rather go into an in-depth analysis of the ban list rather than just telling you the ban list itself. So, the ban list came out today, and while everything previously mentioned in the adjusted list did roll over, in fact, there were more cards banned on top of that, so I'm just going to quickly run down the list and then talk about the impact of this particular ban list. So starting off with the stuff that did roll over, we have Damage Juggler, Plush Fire, and Ptolemaeus all banned. Additional bans here, Chicken Game and Wavering Eyes. These are kind of new. I'll go into them in a quick second. Of course, limited, again from the rollover, we have Luster, Pendulum, Draco Slayer, we have, of course, the Monkey Board and the Skullcrbat Joker. Now the new hits we have Wisdom Mind Magician, Nordon as well, Ignister Prominence, Thousand Eyes Restrict just came off the list, and to one as well we have Reasoning, Upstart Goblin, and Draco Face Off. I really want to explain to people why Upstart got hit. It's quite obvious, to be honest. And, well, let's talk about the semi-limits first. We got back a additional copy of Debris Dragon, and with Lone Fire and Glow Bulb all available, I guess those Plant Synchro guys will be pretty happy. Allure of Darkness to 2. This could be hinting that Destiny Heroes could be a thing in the future. I don't know, maybe you should pick up another copy. Maybe it'll go to 3. But I know Burning Abyss, Phantom Knight decks are pretty happy about this. Again, Dark decks, Raid Raptors as well. Emergency Teleport is now at 2. I guess it's less likely that you'll get 2 card OTK'd by Cosmos, but this does hit a lot of other decks too. Now off the list we have Dark Magician of Chaos, Neo Errata came out, kind of predictable, Tragodia, everyone's not favorite hand trap, we have Advanced Ritual Art for those Herald players that are very happy about this, and of course we have Crush Card Virus because it's actually pretty bad. Imagine crush carding a, I guess a Draco Pal player and they destroy their Ariadnes out of the deck, they will be able to get their effects off. That's kind of funny. Now, okay, now that we've talked about this whole list, let's go down the deck that took the biggest hit, Monarch FTK. Not just Monarch FTK, but just Magical Explosion first turn kill decks. With the limit of Upstart Goblin and the banning of Chicken Game, guess what? They lost a lot more cards than you may think. First of all, they can't play the deck anymore because Life Equalizer is a condition that they want to meet, but the 2 cards that really facilitated that was Chicken Game and Upstart Goblin. Losing Chicken Game is actually losing 6 cards because all the pseudo spaces don't work anymore, and losing 2 Upstarts means you can't get that life point difference to activate Life Equalizer. And I mentioned in the ban list prediction that something must be done about Life Equalizer. Apparently they took the long route. So if the ban list was an iceberg, this deck is Titanic, boom! Sunk down to the Shadow Realm, guys. Moving on to the next deck that took the biggest hit, Draco Pals. Even after Pepe evolved into Draco Pals, this deck just refused to die. It was really powerful and there was many ways to play it. This is many thanks to Wavering Eyes. Wavering Eyes is now banned. Okay, think about it this way, guys. You guys won't get hit by Wavering Eyes and War for 4, and you can actually create a little more stable boards while leaving the scales to play Pendulums, because it was very difficult to play as a Pendulum deck while worrying against your opponent's Wavering Eyes, so this is actually a decent hit, and I would actually like to see how Pendulum decks will work out now. I can see a lot more Twin Twister plays, and the upcoming Cosmic Typhoon, I believe. You know, I can see a lot more plays happening with those cards. Now, again, another card that took a hit to 1, now this is 1 Draco Face-Off. This card was E-Telly, basically, for the Draco Pal deck. Of course, it fetched out your Lusters, your Masters, Vectors, basically fetched out 2 cards out of the deck. So in that sense, it's better than E-Telly, and you can also dodge Max C with this card by just putting it on the scale instead. Putting this card at 1 definitely reduces the consistency of the deck overall. Not only that, you lost Upstart Goblins as well. And just to recap a little, the hits that we are seeing now from Konami for this particular list seems like a bit of a Venn diagram effect, where every deck was a circle, and then they just basically took the like a margin of the center and things that did have a lot of overlap, and then ban those cards or limit those cards. This is what I see, basically. The only deck that took direct hits was basically Draco Pals, because they were, by tournament results, they are the best deck. Now, Thousand Eyes Restrict is off. I guess they didn't hit the instant fusion. They did hit the Nordon, so in that regard, it's okay. Mermail players. Of course, losing that Nordon definitely hurt Mermail players. Of course, Nordon allowed you to constantly reuse Dragoons for search. With only one Nordon, I don't know how many copies of Instant Fusions do you want to play. There's lots of other ways that you can play Mermails aside from that, but definitely a lot slower and not as explosive. So Ignister Prominence is at 1. This card is amazing, super powerful, pretty easy to make in any deck that runs Pendulums and Tuners. And, well, it answered a lot of boards that Cosmos can make. So there's that. With him going to 1, Cosmos is definitely going to be a much harder matchup for anyone that will be continuing to play the Draco Pal deck. Now, onto the deck that also took a slight hit, and the deck that got really destroyed. We have Infernoids and Cosmos losing Reasoning. Reasoning was a very sacky card. I really hated playing against it because against a Cosmo deck especially, it's just terrible if you actually run into this card. I just hated guessing whether it be 1 or 8. Like, either or, you just don't want that monster to hit the field. Whether it be like a 4 rider or a slip rider or Forerunner, sorry. It doesn't matter. I don't want their ships to hit the board. I don't want Tin Can to hit the board. Guessing 8 is a little better than guessing 1, but then if you play against an Infernoid player, you have to guess 1 because you don't want that Decatron. So it just gets all too confusing in the beginning. And if they play Reasoning as the first card, I don't like that. Now, it makes Reasoning a pretty sacky card and makes people losing to it pretty salty. I think now it just got a little saltier because it is a 1-up. It's even a more sacky card than before. And, well, at least you don't have to worry about too much of a Tin Can opening from Reasoning or a Decatron or Infernoids milling out their entire deck, because I've played against a few Infernoid players and they've milled 20 cards with 1 Reasoning. I'm glad that's at 1. Now for the next deck that took, I guess, a little bit of a hit, Monarchs took a small hit from the upstarts. Less consistency, although they are completely unscathed. Let me tell you this, they are probably the happiest camper right now. They've got everything still available to them. They did lose a pair of upstarts. I guess they'll have to find a different way to actually improve the consistency, which I think it's not that bad because you still have a pair of E-teleports for if you do play the Super Quantum engine. Of course, another deck that did take a severe hit is the Magnus Turbo deck, which lost upstarts, chicken games, and E-Telly. So that's a major slot of cards that they did lose. At least you don't have to worry about Magnus. And speaking of like Magnus, why isn't Towers back? You hit Wavering, guys. I think Clipboards can actually get Towers back because, well, frankly, he's not that scary. Many rank 4 decks can easily answer the Towers. And not only that, we've got much worse Towers like Magnus. And then soon to come, we have Ultimate Falcon as well. Now, Burning Abyss and Phantom Knights are pretty happy about Allure of Darkness coming up. I believe this will actually improve their deck quite a bit, as considering that all the other decks that were kind of in the way, except for Monarchs, kind of took a hit. And with Allure of Darkness, I guess that you guys get a little bit more consistency. Well, you still have Upstart, but Allure of Darkness, I would say, is a bit better, especially if you want to make plays with your Leviair. Since you can automatically just banish the card and then you can just summon the card back, I think it gives more value to the Leviair that you do play in your extra deck. So, yeah, you got that. Now for Elder Entity, Nordon, and Thousand Eyes Restrict. Of course, Nordon went to 1, Restrict went up to 1. This just means that they didn't hit Instant Fusion, which is good, so now you don't have to choose between the two, so you can actually run both. The impact of Thousand Eyes Restrict is very minimal if you use Instant Fusion. I don't know if anyone's gonna make a big deal out of this. However, Thousand Eyes Restrict does support synchro-based decks that are kind of Quasar-y because he's a level 1. Like, you can summon a Glow Up Bulb and then, like, Instant Fusion him out, eat up a monster, and then Synchro into, like, a Formula Synchron. There's, like, a lot of wonky plays that you can make with him, too. With Nordon at 1, I guess Heroes kind of took a hit from there. That kind of sucks for them, really. Because, less recovery plays, for sure. But I guess you guys can save 1,000 life points. Like, of all the cards that were hit, of course, Monarch's probably going to be really, really good, probably among the top 2 decks, just because Cosmos didn't really take a hit either. However, Monarchs do have a decent matchup against Cosmos if they play their cards right, especially with Stormforce not being touched, none of the Monarch cards being touched, in fact. So you still have the Pantheism. That means Pantheism isn't very safe on the next ban list. Cosmos, of course, you still have Tin Can Turbo. Of course, you don't get the easy emergency teleport opening anymore. It's okay. I think it's actually not that bad. So total cards lost for each deck ranges between 1 to 2 cards to about 7 to 8 cards, and of course some decks are of course unplayable, which is good. I would like to see how this format evolves, especially with new cards coming out in Shining Victory. There is quite a bit of significance, although it makes several decks not as powerful. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you guys like this, I guess this little podcast of mine, please give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos from MST.TV, we're probably going to try to get an early game of the new list out as soon as we can. And since the ban list is out, we will be shortly making the announcement for MST Open Series 3, because people of course want to test their decks. But for the next little bit, I don't think there will be any videos really pushed out, because I'm practicing for regionals, and with this new list for the regionals, I gotta make sure I'm ready to take on most of the challenges here. So until next time, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV.